Okay, hi. This is March the 20th, a Friday, March 20th, 2020. So we've got the 20s all here. So I haven't done a video blog for a couple of days. This is my second video blog, and it's, for me, I've just been a bit tired. I look a bit crappy, and I've just been exhausted. Mainly because of probably over worrying about things, but also because of intuitive downloads, messages, various different things that have been, happening. And I think, ignorance is bliss for a lot of people right now is one thing. And I've never been a person, by the way, in my whole entire life that's ever really listened to the news. I've never taken on board that the media actually is telling me the truth. I've never been somebody who would get scared or fear-mongered into something, particularly, I don't think, based on news coverage. And that's not really, that's not really what I'm trying to say here. I don't know. My head feels a bit fried. I've been getting little amounts of sleep because having lots of conversations with various different people all over the world, just checking in on friends, and that's my point that I want to make. The information that I'm getting about what's happening with the coronavirus, with COVID-19, is directly from people I know, directly from sources of people who are in various places around the world. And this is not a time where you want to be ignorant about what's happening. It is a real concern. It is really serious. People need to take in consideration how severe this is. And it concerns me every day that I go shopping. If I go shopping, but it concerns me every day when I've gone shopping, should I say, that the food is being bought up in such bulk, and people are panic buying and, this hoarding mentality. And I just went into Aldi because I want some porridge oats, and I couldn't find any before, and I went in again and there still isn't any, and it's like 9:30 in the morning, and it's already sold out. And I bought other things. Okay, so I bought some the last box of couscous because I just thought, oh my goodness, this is what happens though, I suppose. People go and they start hoarding and stockpiling and all this kind of thing, and everyone else thinks, crap, if I don't do this as well, I'm not going to have any food, right? So I don't. It feels a bit like hysteria. I maybe I'm a little bit of a drama queen, or I like to go on the whole bandwagon of like, oh, there's some excitement out there, let me join in, or let's get hysterical about something. And yeah, there's times for that and there's times not for that. But when you see queues of people with their shopping carts completely full to the brim of food, waiting to go and pay for their stuff at the till, you have to ask yourself, what the hell are people doing? Are they doing it out of fear, or are they doing it out of some kind of like intuitive feeling within themselves? For the last couple of years, particularly since 2018, there have been times when I've really tuned in, to myself, to the universe, if you like, or whatever. People just think you're crazy, whatever, or, this is not real. This is all like hocus pocus, fairy crap. But, I've meditated in my garden in nature, and the message that's come through to me really strongly is you're going to have to learn how to survive without food really quite soon. You're going to have to start reducing what you eat, because very soon there's going to be a scarcity. There's going to be such a scarcity that the world will not be prepared. And, it's been a little message that's been trickling through quite a lot over the last 2 years, pretty much since 2018. And, I've grown some veg, and I like growing veg with my parents, and I've enjoyed doing that anyway in different places. I've lived around the world, and we've always grown vegetables. But the message was getting stronger, like grow more vegetables, become more self-sufficient, make sure that you can forage food, make sure that you know places that you can go and get reliable sources of wild food. And I've often thought, is that just me being a bit crazy? You know, like you really do question yourself sometimes, or I do. But actually, no, I'm now really thinking there's something in this. You know, it's not just a case of like, oh yeah, it's okay, we've sold out today, but we're going to restock for tomorrow. That because the way the pandemic is happening to the world, what I'm predicting, what I'm seeing is that places around the world are not going to be able to supply us for various different reasons. I think that the economy is going to fall. In another 8 to 12 months' time, we're going to see such a collapse that it's so frightening. And I think the thing that I'm frightened about the most is that I'm still living in suburbia. I'm still living in, English, Woodley. And I'm like in this little town near my parents, and I'm not in the ideal situation of being off-grid. I don't feel prepared. I don't have, like my earth house with the chickens and the goats, and it's making me very emotional because I don't feel like I've prepared for this. I mean, I was in a situation where I could have been prepared, and I left that knowing that something was going to happen. And then I thought, I know that I'm going to end up in a situation where nobody's going to be prepared, because I kind of knew it was coming, and I've known this for years and years and years. And it feels like the ship will go down and I'll go down with it, sort of thing. But that's okay, because the reason I really came back to live in this existence, in society, in urbanization, was to be with my family, because they meant so much more to me. They wouldn't come out to me, so I have to come back to them. And I suppose, the other message that came through quite strongly, from the universal force, from Source itself, was, but we want you there. We want you there because you have got skills, you know how to survive, you know what to do. And I'm thinking, but even if I can collect resources, I don't necessarily know how to use them. I mean, there's things like, wood burning stoves for burning wood if we need heat sources. Why would gas supply be cut off? I don't suppose it would. But if there's nobody able to run those things, or if the economy's dropped so much and there is no gas supply, I don't know. All I'm saying is that, these things for some reason were planted as seeds in my head about 7 years ago, and, have been a sort of like be prepared kind of thing. Be prepared for what is going to happen. Be prepared because you need to be. Think of alternative ways of living, within where you are. And I urged my parents quite a long time ago, please get your fireplace, let's get a wood burning stove and da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, no. And I mean, I couldn't really have one in my place, but then I thought, if everything goes bad, then, I'll be just like everyone else and rioting and looting, and I'm going to go and take somebody's wood burning stove, whatever. I don't think so. But, I've got solar panels. I need an inverter system. I mean, it's true. If you needed those things and the economy has fallen, then that's what's probably going to happen. People are going to be going out there. There'll be complete anarchy. It's scary. And a lot of people say, oh my God, Fiona, you're nuts. What are you saying? This is crazy stuff. That's not going to happen. I could be wrong. It's true. If it doesn't happen this time with this pandemic, it will happen with another one. So I think my whole body is vibrating a truth. I don't feel fearful. I feel like this is a it's a self-fulfilling prophecy for sure, because I've believed in it. But I think it is a prophecy of things that have been said by multiple different people in the past, sages, masters, whatever, who predicted that these things are going to happen at some point in our future beyond the year 2000. So what do we do? And how do we prepare? And that's the point, I think. It's how do we really prepare for an ultimate future where there may be no money, there may be no business, there's no way to make money, there's no way to, purchase food because there is no food, production or whatever. It's the whole thing. So it's like everyone, I guess, from now on has to think of new ways of survival, new ways of being self-sufficient. We are returning back to sovereignty. I do astrology, and Pluto in Capricorn with the alignment with Saturn, Mars and Jupiter, is urging all of us to do exactly that. It's the alignment is really saying, driving us towards, not only is this a transformation, you want to be okay for yourself, then you make yourself. You make yourself the strongest tower for your own life, And that's really what's happening here. And especially with the South Node being in Capricorn, what's our relationship to our own stability? What's the relationship we have with the others in the community? How are we going to share our life with our neighbours? How do we then either be selfish or unselfish? Because I know that probably 80% of this world is going to be incredibly selfish, because that's kind of like the ingrained built-in mentality of people. Like, I need this for me. I don't want to, I need this food. I need this. Who knows? It's a long blog this time, but it's a sunny day. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I've already done an Aldi shop. But every time I go, by the way, to the shop, I spend about £10 and I get a few items. So like today I got bananas and a box of couscous and some avocados. And then I thought, I want the porridge. There is no porridge. Okay, then I'll buy muesli. There was plenty of muesli. So, there are things that I'm purchasing that I feel like I wouldn't necessarily buy because I'm not crazy about muesli. But then I think, well, it's a bag of muesli for like £1.20. I'll buy it because if we're hungry, we're going to have it. Who knows what's going to happen in the future. And I know it kind of keeps okay. So my intuition is telling me every morning that I wake up to buy a little bit of food, every day since this thing started. The kind of food that you can store, that's cheap, so that's what I've been doing. So, there are all these things to consider: clean water, fuel for cooking or, eating, just keeping ourselves alive, right? Summer is coming, which is good. We may not need to keep ourselves warm. There are lots of ways of keeping warm. We've got bedding, clothing, whatever. But yeah, these are sort of strange times. There's no other word for it. These are bizarre, unprecedented, challenging times that none of humanity could have predicted, I guess. Not really our governments or anyone, but astrology's predicted it. We knew that huge things were going to happen from January the 12th of 2020. We haven't seen an alignment the way it has been in Capricorn for something like over 500-600 years. And the last time we saw that, we had the Black Plague, so, and war and all these other things. So we know that certain events that have happened recently with these alignments mean something, and a lot of people poo-poo any kind of astrobabble or any of this, pseudoscience. They don't believe in it. It may just be random coincidence. You're right. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I know, because it's a sort of like inner knowing. It's something that just feels right, and that's the only way that I can describe the intuition that my higher self guides me to know, and there is no explanation for it. There isn't. It's just a feeling. That it's the simplest way I can say it. So I'm going to sign off anyway. Who knows what's tomorrow, but in the whole scheme of things, actually, we have the precession of the equinoxes happening as well. And we've tilted again, I believe. So the precession of the equinoxes isn't what it used to be. So we're now in the spring equinox period, which has pretty much started from, yesterday and will continue to the 22nd. But it used to be, the spring equinox was like on the 21st, but because of the precession of equinoxes, we've had a tilt in the earth, and things are changing, and our seasons are changing, and all of the climate, and obviously our economy now. But through the ages that we're moving through, we're entering into the Aquarian Age. The technology that we're going to see excel now is going to be what they think the answer is. So 2 different tribes are really coming up. The division of the people who choose to be nature dwellers versus the techno hubs, So we're going to get even more urbanized areas versus very, very ruralized areas. And we're going to see, I think, a lot more of that happening, especially from this. And I feel like right now I'm having to make a choice because I feel like I'm a fish out of water. I'm a complete nature person in an urbanized area, and I'm asking myself all the time, why am I here? What am I doing here? This is incredibly insane for me. It's so unnatural for me, and I find it really hard. I find it mind-boggling. I feel ungrounded, unsettled. You know, it's like the magnetic force sort of almost unbalances me to the point where I kind of do feel, yeah, physically not that well. You know, not the virus unwell, but you know, just not quite with it, needing a lot of grounding all the time and food, and you know, I see it happening to a lot of my friends. You know, it happens to my partner as well. And yeah, do we hide ourselves away in the middle of nowhere and, you know, not be in these sort of urbanized structures to be around family and friends, you know, or help other people who need help at this time, you know, or for the future? It's just, you know, it's like, are we a service to humanity, or do we decide to remove ourselves and just think about ourselves? Because I'd happily have gone away and lived off grid years ago to just think about me. But I feel like I just can't think about me anymore. Because, yeah, I can save myself. It's like SOS. But do I want to save, or not save, that's a bad word. Do I want to just help other people and just be there for other people? My parents now are in the elderly group. You know, they've been warned not to go out, to not be outside too much, and so they needed or relied on me to go and collect medication and shopping. Now that service will probably be delivered, which is good, so at least they're going to have a service for them. But then that might become overwhelmed, I don't know. But it does really restrict the movement of older people, and a lot of other people are having to help them with that. I have customers that I do gardening for who are also asking me to do the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, you know, right now I feel like I have a real purpose to help these people. So I guess I have got some worthy value in the society right now. But yeah, not that I ever really doubted it. But, you know, I do wonder, like, what the hell am I doing in this craziness? But, you know, we're in the world, so we can't get away from it completely. I used